Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari
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 Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari
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 Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana
Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
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 Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Giridhari Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramam Sabarviraj Ki Jai Jai Shodhara Shri Shri Maharaj Divine Grace Abhay Charanada Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhu Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Samavira Bhakti Ki Jai Go Premanandi All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. May I ask Janard if you can get a picture from Mayapur or someplace like that where you have a camera behind all the devotees for a class. Cut that out and just stick it on the glass up there so that when the camera goes live it looks like there's like 50, 60 devotees sitting there and you just got the back of their heads. What do you think? Wow, the SanDiego temple's packed out. You want a bhagavatam class? So this morning, reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, 9th chapter, text 10. Yep. 4, 9, 10. Prahlad Maharaj is offering prayers still to the Lord. Okay. Yes. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamatiriyat Shirvavadiki Yanirvitishthanupritam Tava Padma
Yanirvritishthanupritam Tava Padma
Janad Bhavad Janakata Shravanena Vasyat
Yanad Bhavajjanakata Shravanena Vasyat
Sa Brahmani Swamahimanya Pinatama Bhut
Brahmani Swamahimanya Pinatama Bhut
Kim Twantakashi Lulitat Patatam Vimanat
Prakasi Lulikat Patatam Vimanat
Janirvitishthanupritam Tava Parapadma
Yanirvritishthanupritam Tava Padma
Jnanad Bhavaj Janakata Shravanena Vasyat
Yanad Bhavajjanakata Shravanena Vasyat
Sa Brahmani Swamahimanya Pinatama Bhut
Brahmani Swamahimanya Pinatama Bhut
Kim Tvatakashi Lulitat Patatam Vimanat
Kim Tvantakashi Lulitat Patatam Vimana
Yanirvitishthanupritam Tava Parapadma
Yanivritishthanupritam Tava Padma
Janad Bhavaj Janakata Shravanena Vasyat
Yanad Bhavajjanakata Shravanena Vasyat
Sa Brahmani Swamahimanya Pinatama Bhut
Sa Brahmani Swamahimanya Pinatama Bhut
Kim Twantakashi Lulitat Patatam Vamanat.
Kim Tvantakashi Lulitat Patatam Vamanat
Please chant.
Yanirvitishthanupritam
Yanirvitishthanupritam Tava Padma Jnanad Bhavad Janakata Shravanena Vasyat Sa Brahmani Swamahimanya Pinatama Bhut Kim Twantakashi Lulitat Patatam Vimanat. Yanirvitishthanupritam Tava Padma Janad Bhavaj Janakata Shravanena Vasyat Sa Brahmani Swamahimanya Pinatama Bhut Kim Tatakashi Lulitat Patatam Vimanat.
Yanivritishthanupritam Tava Padma
Yanirvitishthanupritam Tava Padma
Yanad Bhavajjanakata Shravanena Vasyat
Janad Bhavaj Janakata Shravanena Vasyat
Sa Brahmani Swamahimanya Pinatama Bhut
Sa Brahmani Swahimamanya Nataba Bhut
Kim Tvantakashi Lulitat Patatam Vimanat
Kim Twatakashi Lulitat Patatam Vimanat. Yanirvitishthanupritam Tava Padma Dhyanad bhavajjana kata shravanena vasyat Sabrahmanita vadmayatamabhut Kim tvatakashi lalutat patatam vimanat. Synonyms. Ya, that, which, nirvitihi, bliss, tanubritam, of the embodied, tava, your, pada padma, lotus feet, jhanat, from meditating upon, bhavat jana, from your intimate devotees, kata, topics, shravanena, by hearing, va, or, syat, comes into being, sa, that bliss, brahmani, in the impersonal Brahman, swamahimani, your own magnificence, api, even, nata, O Lord, ma, never, but, exists, kim, what to speak of, tu, then, ataka ashi, by the sword of death, lulitat, being destroyed, patatam, of those who fall down, bimanat, from their airplanes. So they had airplane crashes even back then. Is that the significant part of the verse? Just catching, see if anyone's listening, that's all. Hare Krishna. Zach, are you going to be okay during class? Do you need to do something, or you look really tired? I tell you what, would you like to do this? Get a floor cloth and bring all the handkerchiefs, that little bucket of deeds, and put it out there and keep you. It'd be a very nice service, much needed, and may help you stay awake. So translation, purport by Srila Prabhupada. My Lord, the transcendental bliss derived from meditating upon your lotus feet or hearing about your glories from pure devotees is so unlimited that it is far beyond the stage of Brahmananda, wherein one thinks himself merged in the impersonal Brahman as one of the Supreme. Since Brahmananda is also defeated by the transcendental bliss derived from devotional service, then what to speak of the temporary blissfulness of elevating oneself to the heavenly planets, which is ended by the separating sword of time? Although one may be elevated to heavenly planets, he falls down in due course of time. Please repeat. My Lord, the transcendental bliss derived from meditating upon your lotus feet or hearing about your glories from pure devotees is so unlimited that it is far beyond the stage of Brahmananda, wherein one thinks himself merged in the impersonal Brahman as one with the Supreme. Since Brahmananda is also defeated by the transcendental bliss derived from devotional service, then what to speak of the temporary blissfulness of elevating oneself to the heavenly planets, which is ended by the separating sword of time. Although one may be elevated to the heavenly planets, he falls down in due course of time. Excuse me. Make that last, hopefully. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The transcendental bliss derived from devotional service, primarily from Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, cannot be compared to the happiness derived by karmis, by elevating themselves to the heavenly planets, or by jnanis or yogis who enjoy oneness with the Supreme Impersonal Brahman. Yogis generally meditate upon the transcendental form of Vishnu, but devotees not only meditate upon him, but actually engage in the direct service of the Lord. In the previous verse, we find the phrase bhavapyaya, which refers to birth and death. The Lord can give relief from the chain of birth and death. It is a misunderstanding to think, as do the monists, that when one gets relief from the process of birth and death, he merges into the Supreme Brahman. Here it is clearly said that the transcendental bliss derived from Shravanam Kirtanam by pure devotees cannot be compared to Brahmananda, or the impersonal conception of transcendental bliss derived by merging into the Absolute. The position of karmis is still more degraded. Their aim is to elevate themselves to the higher planetary systems. It is said, Yanti Deva Varta Devan. Persons who worship the demigods are elevated to the heavenly planets. Bhagavad Gita 9.25. But elsewhere in the Bhagavad Gita 9.21 we find Kshine Punya Marja Lokam Vishanti. Those who are elevated to the higher planetary systems must come down again as soon as the results of their pious activities are exhausted. They are like the modern astronauts who go to the moon. As soon as their fuel is used up, they are obliged to come back down to this earth. As the modern astronauts who go to the moon or other heavenly planets by force of jet propulsion have to come down after exhausting their fuel, so also do those who are elevated to the heavenly planets by force of yagyas and pious activities. Atakashi lolitat. By the sword of time one is cut from his exalted position within this material world, and he comes down again. Dhruva Maharaj appreciated that the results of devotional service are far more valuable than merging into the Absolute or being elevated to the heavenly planets. The words Patatam Vimani At are very significant. Vimana means airplane. Those who are elevated to heavenly planets are like airplanes which drop when they run out of fuel. Om Agyanti Mirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurunminitam Dena Taismai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, that expression, an aha moment, yeah, you know what that means when you have an aha moment? You realize something, eureka moment, aha moment. So here, in these verses, it's Dhruva Maharaj's aha moment, when he realized that he was worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead for something completely insignificant. And, of course, Krishna bestowed upon him something more than he could possibly even have imagined. And he's feeling quite, I read this about a week or two ago, all the way a few chapters ahead. But he goes through this over and over and over again about how foolish he's feeling that he had approached Krishna for something so insignificant as something of this material world. In fact, that famous verse is that I was looking for broken pieces of glass, but you give me the most valuable gem. Like that. So and there's some verses, another verse like that in this chapter. So here he is talking about the happiness he was looking for. He thought that was very, very significant. Now he's realized, his aha moment is that all of those things he was thinking were so valuable are actually completely insignificant. So he's come to a higher level of realization. So we're talking about happiness in these verses over and over again. Happiness, 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 and the purport in these verses and so on. And it's something that has to be discussed over and over again. Actually, Prabhu was once asked, I mean many times, but just listening to a lecture recently by Giraj Maharaj. And Prabhu was asked, what's the goal of life? Prabhu said, happiness, the search for happiness. Everyone's looking to be happy. And why is that? That's the nature of the soul. So everyone's, whatever action we're doing, it's to bring some type of happiness. Whether it's even just kind of shifting on your legs because you're uncomfortable or whatever it may be. Trying to stay awake during class because you're being telecast all over the world here. And people can look this, whatever it might be. Or people are up now and they're driving off to work. Why are they driving off to work? They got to make some money to buy their happiness, right? Whatever it may be, to meet this person. Everyone's acting As the Prabhu says, the birds in the morning are chirping, right? Where's worm? Where's worm? Okay? Gesundheit? Was that a good Gesundheit moment almost coming? Or the dogs are running on four legs, we're running on four wheels, everyone's just moving about from moment to moment. The calculation is where is happiness, because that's the nature of the soul, that's where it's coming from. And people have different ideas. Sometimes the philosophy is there is you have your happiness and I have my happiness. So why are you bothering me? Why are you trying to force your happiness upon me? Why are you doing that? Why are you trying to force your happiness upon me? My idea of happiness is this, that, and the other thing. Yours is that. And just leave everyone alone. Just do what they want to do. Right? What's wrong with that philosophy? Yes? Right. That's the problem. That all sounds quite well, but then what do you do if my happiness is, hurting others? My happiness is, the happiness of the heroin addict, the happiness of the drunk, the happiness of the person who speeds in their car, then we have to start talking about it. Now, wait a second, what kind of happiness is that? If it's harmful to the individual or to members of society. And then the other thing is contemplation is, who are we anyways? We're talking about our own happiness, but if we don't even know who we are, that's another angle. If we don't even know who we are, just like we used to do this play, Wrong Bank Account. You know this story? Jamal, you should do this play. You and Zach should do this play. You'd be great. Okay? So the wrong bank account. This is gentleman, in fact, I just got this newsletter from a realtor, and had the different age groups, like when you're 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 60 to 70, and 70 and above. A little paragraph how you should be meditating on money, what your plan should be, about paying off this, that, with everything, different ages. So anyways, the play is that the man is young, he's in his 20s, and he starts putting money in his bank account. So he comes into the bank and he's talking to the same teller. Every month he comes in and makes a deposit, and they're chatting about, life and his plans with his money and so on. His kids are just born and they're growing up and then school. And as the play goes on, there's different scenes, and they both get older and older. You put more and more, what do you call it? Talcum powder in their hair. You can get older and older, change the outfits. I used to do this play. I was the guy coming into the bank all the time. And Karuna Sindhu was the banker. He's a New York devotee from New York. Real nice. So anyways, the point is old, and he's making all these plans, and finally, at the end of his life, he's walking in with a little cane or walker, and he goes up to the window, and his friend's gone. The teller's gone. The young woman in there, and he goes, "Oh, what happened to Frank?" Well, Frank passed away. He was a teller here for, 40 years. He goes, yeah, I was, I met him the first day he started working here, and I put all my money away, and now I'm retired. And I'm going to take all my money out and finally enjoy life, right? So she says, "Oh, that sounds wonderful. Well, what's your account number?" So he gives her the account number, hands her the book to it, and she looks it up on the computer. Everything's computerized now. And she goes, "I'm sorry, sir, there's nothing in this account." He says, "What?" And so I've been coming in here every month for the last 40-something years, putting money in that account. How can you tell me this is money in the account? You made a mistake. So well, give me the number again. He gives the number. He said, "No, I'm sorry. There's absolutely nothing in this account." He said, "Well, what happened?" He said, "Well, you must have been putting your money in the wrong bank account for your whole life." I think he has a heart attack. He has a heart attack. He can't handle it. So the point being is, if we put the money in the wrong account, so if we don't know who we are, if we think we're this mind, we're this body, we're this, we're that, then we've wasted all that energy. So that's the point being made here. Or one of the points that being gleaned from these verses is that where is real happiness to be found? Well, first of all, we have to know who we are, right? We'll find it when we find out who we are. That's the point. So the comparison, his revelation is that the greatest happiness is from devotional service. Now you could say he's speaking from some experience, But actually, the greatest experience he has is he's been blessed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Narayan touched his head with his conch shell and gave him full realization of reality. You know, it's like when we're young, we don't really know what's what and who's who. And our parents have to help us, and different adults, our teachers, and this and that. We learn, you know, what is really important in life, and you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a matter of growing up or maturing or becoming knowledgeable. So in the same way, Dhruva Maharaj, although in the body of a young child, 5-6 years old, because he was touched and blessed by Lord Narayan, he had full revelation, full realization of the absolute truth. He knew exactly where real happiness is. And he didn't have to go through all the rigors of Brahman realization to understand this. Nor did he have to actually accept that kingdom greater than Lord Brahma. You know, the whole universe, run the whole universe. You know, sometimes you can hear, of course, one way to learn here is by hearing, but also if there's a revelation within the heart, one understands completely. So he came to his constitutional position. When one comes to their constitutional position, they understand all these things. So it's a matter of purification of the heart and revelation. Prabhupada points out, you hear of impersonalists becoming devotees, but you never hear of devotees becoming impersonalists. Now, what does that mean? Devotees aren't so sharp? No. Right. I mean, the Atmarama verse is there. So he's saying here that the greatest happiness is devotional service, and primarily hearing and chanting in the association of pure devotees. That gives one the greatest happiness, hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it says that the absolute truth is Satchitananda, or that's the spiritual energy, is Satchit Ananda. And sometimes the examples or the understanding is that the three phases of understanding the absolute truth, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, or Krishna, give revelation of different elements of the spiritual energy. Just like the Brahman realization actually is the chit potency, eternality. And that's the happiness, when you realize you're eternal. I'm not this material body. Whew! You know, I'm an eternal soul. That is such a relief. That's such a relief. It's a type of happiness, just like when you're under a difficult situation and all of a sudden it ends, you consider that to be happiness. But that example is given just like the criminal who's ducked underwater, that type of punishment, they duck him underwater, he practically drowns, pulls him up, he takes a big breath of air and he goes, oh, that feels good. Waterboarding, okay. You know, what kind of happiness is that? It's just relief. That's all it is. It's just relief. It's just relief. It's not real happiness. But that's the Brahman. And then Paramatma is revelation of Sat and Chit, the eternality and the Chit potency, the Paramatma, the source of all knowledge. But Ananda, real Ananda, doesn't begin until it's Bhagavan realization. Then you have Sat, Chit, and Ananda, because the activity of the soul is devotional service. So, Prabhu says here, you know, the Brahman realization is relief. Paramatma is meditating on the super soul, but the devotees engage in the service of the super soul of Krishna, and therefore they're experiencing the greatest type of happiness because of that personal interaction. Denying one's existence, what kind of happiness can be there? Huh? If we're thinking that in the ultimate end we're nothing, or in the ultimate end we're just some kind of energy, that's actually a downgrade. That's a downgrade from personalism. And that's why it says, now here in this verse it's talking about people who go to heavenly planets, they fall back down. But even in the Bhagavatam, Lord Brahma explains, Aruya Kachena Param Padam Tada, that even those who go to the Brahman effulgence, they fall down. Because there's no personal interaction. There's no facility to act in one's constitutional position. It's unnatural, and it comes to an end. Because the happiness isn't there. If you don't find happiness, you move on. Right? I remember I worked for this Dr. Levin. He came here a few times. Very nice gentleman. He had a metaphysical greeting card company, and he used to publish vegetarian cookbooks. And a few devotees worked there. This was quite some time ago, 20, 30 years ago, I think. 94, 95, before I started working for Bliss Bars. And I remember he's quite straightforward. And at different times, I was there for a few years. And anyone who worked there who wasn't happy, he says, well, if you're not happy here, why waste your life? Right? Why waste your life? If you're not happy, move on. That's good instruction. That's how we do it anyways. If you're not happy, move on. So, in fact, Prabhu said once that that's a sign that one is happy in Krishna consciousness, that they're doing nice. They're happy. Devotees should always be happy. If you're not happy, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. And we know it's not the process, it's us. Right. It's not the process. Because those who follow the process nicely, they're quite happy. They're very, very happy. They're actually ecstatic. You know, sometimes that word's thrown around in the material world. Oh, I'm ecstatic. But not really ecstatic. Not really ecstatic. It's happy. Like that. So, oh my goodness, I'm getting to the end here. Very nice example here to meditate on. Or the word is here, this, which is ended by the separating sword of time. That's a meditation. The separating sword. Time just cuts everything to pieces. Just cuts everything to pieces. Everything is being cut down by the sword of time. And another example here is just like the this process, patatam vimani not. That just like airplanes are flying in the sky, and when the fuel is getting low, what do they better do? They better land, or they'll just fall out of the sky. Like that, they'll just fall out of the sky. They're going to land one way or the other, because you can't go on forever. Because these are not our permanent positions. It's asat. Asat. It's not permanent. So, of course, until we come to a revelation of this, we're always anxious for other varieties of happiness. That's just natural. We don't have the realization. But by hearing and hearing and hearing and engaging in the process of devotional service, and it's just what's logical. Is anything in the Bhagavatam illogical? It's very, very logical. Where is real happiness to be found? It's like in the Bhagavad Gita, they said there's happiness in ignorance, there's happiness in goodness, and there's happiness in passion. Do you know these verses? What's the definition of happiness in the mode of goodness? It begins like something and ends like something. Okay. Right. How about the other type of happiness? Rajas is like nectar, but ends like poison. How about happiness in the mode of ignorance? Poison and poison. So, right. So, now is that true? Do we all have experience of it? Krishna's telling the truth, just kind of laying it on the line. So here, Dhruva Maharaj is laying it on the line. You can test it yourself. You got a few million lifetimes to go to the heavenly planets, come down, go to Brahman, come down, then engage in devotional service. But you know something? There's a good chance we've already tried it. There's a good chance we've already tried it. We were there on the heavenly planets together, you and I, Damodar, just having a fantastic time. Maybe many times we've gone and come back. Or we were vibrating together, just vibrating together in the Brahman. You and I, Jamal, just kind of buzzing. Just sitting there buzzing. Bzz, I'm Brahman. Hey, I'm Brahman too. This is great. Right? And then we came down. Patanti yada. You know. How many times? So, these are threadbare, just discussing these things, thinking about them, at least with our intelligence, accepting it, and then engaging in the process of devotional service and getting the revelation. And this is the what it means to be advanced in Krishna consciousness. One has the revelation, and these other types of happiness, as insignificant. What is it? As insignificant as the water and the. Some says the devotee doesn't care for liberation, like a fig. What's a fig? You know, doesn't care a fig for liberation. Or all of that happiness is like the water contained in the hoof print of a calf, compared to the great ocean of devotional service. Right, to the great ocean of devotional service. So that's what's available to us, and that's Dhruva Maharaj's realization. We're hearing about that. That's why hearing about other devotees and how they became Krishna conscious. That's what's happening here. Just like we have Narada Muni, so many devotees, how they became Krishna. Dhruva Maharaj did everything. Now he did everything very quickly because he was a very, very advanced soul. How long did it take him to get darshan of the Supreme Lord? 6 months. And never to be imitated or repeated, right? Dhruva Maharaj, unbelievable. Now he's such a great devotee. He's explaining to us right here all his realizations. So we should take him, set him very seriously. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is one of the 2 sections of the Bhagavatam. Then when he heard Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit, he would ask him to repeat it over and over and over again, 100 times. Pastimes of Dhruva Maharaj. You would listen to it 100 times. Such a special part of the Bhagavatam. Just hearing his realizations and his Krishna consciousness. So it's 8:27. I think I'm supposed to end. Does anyone have any questions with that fancy new microphone? Okay. Jamal?
This is just a comment. Krishna? Hare Krishna.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
The thing's basically my mouth. I gotta
Okay.
get Hare Krishna. Yeah. Okay, so this is a comment. But I'm in charge of the temple email, so if people email, oh, I need do you guys have space in the ashram, or what have you. So there was this young Mataji that had emailed, and she was expressing interest in coming to the temple, and she was saying how she had read the Bhagavad Gita, or she had gotten the Bhagavad Gita before. I don't know if she read it. She didn't clarify. But she had said she had grown up Christian, and she kind of had some interesting feelings about that. But then she went to a Buddhist temple. She became a Buddhist, I guess. And she said even then she felt conflicted with that. And she said one thing that she really appreciated about our tradition was that, it involves the chanting and the meditation and a closeness with God. So it's really nice to see that Krishna consciousness is a very complete process. It's the entire understanding is very thorough and very complete. And even in spite of not having like whopping amounts of realization or things like that, whopping amounts of devotion, that's definitely one thing that keeps me here, is just comparing it to the rest of the traditions of the world, how very beautiful and complete that it is in its understanding of God and the soul. So, yeah, just kind of.
You're happy to hear that. The idea that happiness is just all relative like everything else, we don't accept that philosophy at all. Now, the experience of happiness may be relative, and it is relative. It's relative to the person who's experiencing it. Two people can go look at a piece of art, and one person thinks it's the most beautiful thing they've seen, and one person can't make heads or tails of it. Or whatever it may be, or food, right? Someone has a plate of prasadam, they go, oh, this is the best prasadam I ever had in my life. Someone says, I've had better, right? I've had better, or something like that. But the point is, happiness, there are gradations of happiness that can be analyzed. There's higher and lower. And there actually is. And there's actually better and better and better, good, better, best levels of happiness. That's what we're discussing here. And it's an intelligent observation about reality. And one should go look for the best happiness. Why not? Why not look for the best happiness? In fact, we're saying you won't be fully satisfied until you actually find the best happiness. And that's what we're experiencing in Krishna consciousness. But why is it? Here's the question: why is someone come here and actually it's very bitter for them? They think it's I get no happiness from this chanting and dancing and whatever. What's they're sinful. Maybe a more softer example would be jaundice, okay? And the sugar, instead of saying they're sinful, okay, they're demons and sinful. The example is given. Why does someone who takes sugar is very, very unsweet and bitter? It's because they have jaundice. Something's wrong. But it can be cured. And once it is cured, they will actually experience that sugar as being very, very sweet. So our preaching is giving people a lot of prasadam, and the holy name, and then gradually their senses become purified, and they can appreciate everything. That's why the main emphasis is prasadam distribution and book distribution, the chanting, and the chanting. People hear and chant and take prasadam, then they actually can understand and appreciate like that. I think one example is given of just like eating. You can just eat, just grab something and eat it. But someone who controls their senses and becomes a very, very good cook, they can really enjoy eating. They take the time, they're good at culinary arts and the different flavors, and you have it with this and you have it with that. I remember when I was in Mississippi there teaching many, many years ago, one of our projects, farms, there was an Ayurvedic doctor who came from India who was friends with the devotees, because two of the devotees there lived in India for some time, teaching at our Gurukula in Vrindavan. And he cooked lunch for all the devotees every single day. And it was unbelievable, the balance of the flavors and the digestibility, and that you could just sit there and keep eating because he knew exactly how to cook. You never got full, and all the varieties of flavors, all the different rasas were there and so on. It was quite amazing. Part of cooking is the Ayurvedic understanding of balance and this and that. Instead of just, here you go, Prabhu, schlop. It's prasad, but it's, so we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, srimadbhagavatam ki jai.